It's Lesley and Bill.
Okay, should we?
I'm recording already.
Oh.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, how's it going? Welcome back to my newest version of a podcast.
Yeah.
Lesley, Rosehaven Yarn Shop. This is Bill Stearman of Bill Stearman's. Do you have
Quilt
it?
make? No, I'm Bill
You're just
Stearman.
Bill.
I am the brand.
You are the brand. You're the
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
The man with the quilt.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when did you start quilting? Because you've done.
I started. No, not long ago. I guess.
It's been a while,
20
hasn't it?
2014. Because I had that leg thing.
Yeah. Because it was just after I bought the store.
Was it?
Yeah. Actually, today, November 18th, is my 8-year anniversary of taking over this store.
Ooh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And it's almost the anniversary of when Larry and I moved to Belleville.
Oh, okay.
Because this week is when we got, the 15th is when we got possession of the house.
And then you came back. They moved back to the
I
county.
know, because I was missing you.
Well, it's funny because I remember when I bought the store, because Bill used to work for me when I owned the little Galloping Goat Gallery. When we first moved here, we turned our little barn into a craft mecca. I shouldn't say craft. It was a lot more tchotchkes. It was gardening supplies and anything I could find that was interesting and had a humor and signs and all that kind of stuff. So Bill came and worked for me. I don't know, a number of years you were with me.
A long time, and I didn't work for you, actually. We worked together.
Right, that's right. You were the assistant
Leslie
manager,
just
I
thought
think.
she was the boss.
Yes.
I was the assistant. Jim made cards for me.
That's right. We shortened it down to ass manager.
Yes.
That was fun years. Because I know when I bought the store, I was so nervous about taking on a Main Street business. And I remember thinking, well, Bill's still here. Maybe Bill will come. But then you got that infection and then your leg, and then you were like in serious shape, not good shape.
Well, it was pain. For standing
pain
and
is
just for doing anything. Pain is just the worst.
Because I was trying to convince you to take up knitting, but you took up sewing instead.
Well, I tried knitting, but as I've told you many, many times, I am a great knitter. It's purling I can't do.
Right.
So, as long as I could just knit in one
direction. Purling is the curse in the beginning.
Yeah, as long as I could just knit, we'd be fine. Everything has to have a rib when it starts. And that's
it does, so you don't get the fabric rolling and stuff.
Yeah.
So 2014 you started quilting.
Yes.
And then when did you do your first quilt show? What was your first quilt? Oh, we'll have to definitely slide in a picture of your first quilt that you...
Well, my first quilt, I don't know whether I have a picture of it, but of course, this is me, right? So my first quilt isn't a baby quilt.
Right.
My first quilt is a king-size quilt for Larry and my dad. Yeah. And it was cool because when I started with the quilting, I couldn't walk, so I had a walker.
Right.
And I'd ordered the fabric online, and I was in Toronto at the time, so it would come at 9 o'clock, and I'd get all set up with my walker, and I'd have fabric draped over the walker, and my $100 sewing machine in front of me, and my iPad with YouTube videos of Jenny Doan from Missouri Star Quilt Company, who did their Learn to Quilt stuff, and then a carafe of coffee.
Right.
But
so you didn't have to use the chair.
because I was in such pain, beside this carafe of coffee, I had 3 urinals because I wasn't getting up for anything once I get started. I told that story to Jenny Doan, and she walked away when I got to that part. I don't quite get it. I thought it was, a real testimony to her.
The diehard Learn to Quilt. Yeah. So then, when did you? Because you've been in. You've been in a couple. Didn't you get quilts brought into a couple big shows? Didn't you?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate.
Yeah, because you've done some amazing. I mean, you do a little bit of what do you call it? Political statements.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm teaching this summer. I was supposed to teach in 2020 at Halliburton School of Art and Design.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
But anyway, what they want me to do is I have something to say and do words and quilts and my political quilts, my quilts that make a statement.
Cool.
That's and QuiltCon, which is really big modern quilt show. The only quilts that I get in are ones that have words on them or a political statement.
Right.
So maybe I'm not that great a quilter, but maybe I just have a big mouth even on quilts.
It's the twist on using, my friend calls it, Sandra, she's always saying craftivism.
It's what it is, his whole movement.
Yeah, and it's amazing what it's changing. I mean, just those little orange sweaters we were doing those little knitted sweaters, we filled the window with 500 of them.
Yeah.
And the impact, we put them up in mid-June for the summer solstice was supposed to be one key day, and then the next key day was Canada Day. We kept it going, and we all wore the little orange sweater for Canada Day. I did, and then their next residential school day made official was September 30th, so we kept it right till then. And then in September we started selling them. And we actually, because we kept thinking, what do we can do with 500 sweaters? And we thought, okay, well, we can send them around. We can make these, send them to schools, send them to libraries, because the impact was so great. I still got lots of sweaters. If anybody wants them, I can send you loads to do a display. But yeah, so we started selling them. So we've made, I think we're around $1,400 raised so far, maybe a bit
fabulous.
more. But yeah, and the people coming in like with tears in their eyes just to say thank you, and it was amazing. And even the women that were knitting them were saying that they found it heart-wrenching. And I think we're now at 7,310 bodies have been,
I can't
I think
begin.
it's North America now. Now they're starting to look into the States as well. So, but Canada has a lot. It's pretty brutal. I can't imagine how, anyways. Brutal stuff. But yeah, so we're donating the money to our local Tynesinaga Mohawk reservation that has, it basically is their culture and language center. So they teach the culture and language back to kids and adults. Actually, it's kind of cool because apparently the average age of a Mohawk with fluent in their language is 70.
Yeah.
So they're close to losing it, because I know my girlfriend doesn't have the Mohawk, and her parents spoke it, but they went to residential school and didn't teach it to the kids, their kids. So it was used to drive the kids nuts because their parents had that secret language. They didn't know what they were saying.
I had, at the same time that you were doing the sweaters, I thought, well, I don't do that, so I have to do something. And Canada Day was just this weird feeling about it. I could not do red and white.
No.
And I had this new Canadian flag to put on my flagpole.
Oh, right.
I couldn't. And so what I ended up doing was I found in my stash of fabric 215 different bits of orange fabric, and I made a quilt with 200, because that was what the
the
first
one was 215. Right.
So I did 215 half square triangles on this quilt. The quilt, I have a picture of the quilt, but what I don't have is the text that was quilted onto it.
Right.
And then I took the United Nations definition of genocide, which was adopted into practice, into force on January 12th, 1951. And when you look at the years, I don't have it here to read it to you, but it's just so gut-wrenching. And so that text is quilted on this quilt.
Nice.
It's a very cool quilt. I like it a lot. I'm not sure what to do with it, but that's it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, and the words are, wow.
And the words are just, and it goes through twice because there was enough text to fill it twice. And my quilter, Deanna Goddard, did it. And again, like today, she said, I can't do that. And I just kind of smiled and said, yeah, you can.
She's probably going, no.
I know, but
Bill's coming.
I took a quilt into her yesterday, and she's doing it today. So, I mean, I'm always next one.
Nice.
That's cool. Well, she does 20 a year for me, I think. I must do. This year, I'm only going to get 12 quilts done.
That's one a month, Bill. That's a lot.
I know, but normally it's 20. But
I'm thinking from a sweater term. I mean, I consider a sweater takes about 60 hours. So what does a quilt must take at least that, doesn't it?
It does. But once I know what I'm doing, once it's kind of sorted out in my head, then I just
you
go
get
with
paid way better for a quilt than we do for a sweater.
Oh, sometimes, not often.
No.
The ones that I'm going to have a bunch of them. They're going to hang from the rafters in the armory.
Oh, cool.
Because it's just such a fabulous
Big,
space. And they
open
asked me, they
ceiling.
called and said, would you consider a
Neat.
booth, and then we'll let you hang stuff up. So
cool.
I'm hoping that the owner will see it and just say, well, why don't you just leave them there? But those ones, I've got 9 of them from the old days, and I'm just going to price them probably at about $600 a piece.
Nice. Okay.
Just
They're doing amazing things with that old armory. They've
yeah.
really brought it back to life. It's pretty cool.
Now, for anybody watching, $600 a piece is 1/3 of my usual price.
Yes.
I'm saying. I don't want people getting the wrong idea.
No.
But mostly these are quilts that I did 7 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever.
Right.
And they're sitting on a shelf in the furnace room.
I know,
and
it happens, doesn't
I
it?
used to travel and do shows, and I'd have to have 30 quilts, and I'd haul 30 quilts up and down stairs, in and out of the car.
displaying them and stuff.
Yeah,
What a
those
pain.
days are done, and people will never pay for my travel again when they
No.
can do
No,
Zoom
do
for-
Zooms and stuff.
with
It's
no
kind of
travel.
awesome, because I know I've been invited to go to speak at the Georgetown Knitters Guild
cool.
in April. Yeah, so I'm like, ooh, that's, driving, and they're like, no, Zoom, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
problem,
Yeah,
do that.
My favorite one is Orange County, California. I'm going there next month.
Oh, neat.
Now, how the hell do they even know who Bill Stearman is?
That's kind of cool. I always think of Orange County, isn't that where the motorcycles are made or something?
Yeah,
One of those,
it's
I don't know,
famous.
it's something to do with the motorcycles. I don't know, one of those shows Tim and I watched.
It might even be March, because I remember saying something about, oh, I'll so enjoy the weather. And then she emailed back and said, I just want to clarify that this is through Zoom. And I wrote back and said, I just wanted to clarify that I have a sense of humor. That people don't always understand.
So do you have a website for
I do.
your stuff? Is it just,
The easiest way to get there is just billstearman.com.
okay,
I was not creative.
right. It's what you need though. I mean, keep it simple. These people that come up with these crazy names and you can't spell them, you can't pronounce them sometimes, and you're like, it makes no sense. But
Yeah.
yes.
And it's not always up to date, but I'm working hard to make sure that it stays that way.
Yes, I know. I try to keep mine. And Tim just looked at my website this morning as we were setting up for this, and he's like, "There are so many problems with your front page," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure there is."
You need to find and marry somebody who could deal with that for you.
Well, yeah, funny how that works. Tim's sitting
It's like
behind the camera, just like
it's
smiling.
like the shoemaker's kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because when I switched to my new website, I basically took it on myself and built the entire thing myself. So Tim actually doesn't know how a lot of it works. I know more than he does with it, but it still glitches because I've got people, the new knit retreat, we just finished our knit retreat this past weekend, knit retreat Wool and Wine 2021. It was fabulous. We had fun. 42 women. We had our masks on in public spaces. We just took them off for eating and drinking. So we've got 2022 is on the website. So if people want to sign up, and okay, I contacted Lucy Neatby, the queen of beautiful pink hair and awesome knitting, and she does double knitting. So I contacted her in 2018, and I also contacted Patty Lyons in 2018. They were supposed to come in 2020, and of course, the pandemic. So they are now coming 2022. These are the biggest names I think we'll ever see in Canada. That's not going to cost Vogue knitting prices. So yeah, so I've just put it out so far to my own people. So if you see this and you want to come, the classes and everything are up on the website. So because it's already booking up fast, and I've got people that bought it in 2019, and so now they're going in. I've had to hold the money and keep it. That was the trick, man. All this people had prepaid for this one, and then I had to like magically find it because of course I was using it to get through COVID.
Right.
But we managed. I did okay. COVID was a nice reset button in a lot of ways. I've reset a lot of the way I think and the way I do things because you just get so into this. This is how it's done. You go to this. You go to a festival every month, and you're tired and you're grumpy and you're like, and you buy for the festivals. And now I'm like, no, I'm gonna go here, and I'm not gonna do, and I'm gonna do this. So it's been. I like it. I kind of like the way, and I've discovered that everybody seems to come to the county. So why am I running around of all Ontario and Quebec? So yeah, it's kind of cool.
Exactly. And you have established who you are.
Yeah.
And
People know me, and we did lots of lives and stuff. So yeah, and Deanne does a live on Facebook every Friday. So good thing she's organized because we're gonna try and do this 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, if people watch it.
Yeah, it's just me scheduling time into it. If we just schedule it, I'll just
And me remembering.
Yeah.
And not starting.
Well, it's always the knitting.
fabric.
Like I don't finish enough stuff. It's like I don't know how Deanne just, I swear she knits in her sleep. Like, she just goes, man. I'm still working on that read between the lines, but it is 2,000 meters, which is 2 kilometers of thread that I'm trying to knit.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
So yeah, we should show you someday. We talked about quilting, but
Yeah.
so okay, there's a little end tuck. This is my love note. Crazy electric love note. I always in February, I'm like, you get that gray day, I've had enough, so I always do something electric bright to knit. This was my February last year. Leo and Roxy, which is a Canadian yarn dyer, they own the Red Mitten in St. Thomas, Ontario.
Okay.
And then Biscott had the electric yellow mohair. So you carry 2 of them together. It's very bright. And people are always like, I don't know how you can wear that color. It's like, it just sort of, it's like putting that buttercup under your chin. You just glow.
Yeah.
It's all good. This is the reading between the lines. Oh, Lord. So since I got this new yarn in Whirl by Skapes, it's cotton and acrylic. It just goes and goes and goes. And I'm finally getting in, I'm just starting to get into the purple. So you switch between the 2 balls, and they have a slow color change. This one I turned into yarn bark, so I rolled it up. Took me an hour to roll it up, but this one's still going. It'll eventually get to all the colors, and it's also,
It's
can
beautiful.
you see the,
Yeah.
can you see it on the camera? This is illusion knitting, which sounds scary because it's super, super simple. It's just how you look at it that it changes, like, as you see it, certain colors come forward because the purl bump will bring it up.
That
So all you're
word.
doing is knit across and then you purl 10, knit 10, purl 10, knit 10. And because of that, it gets this interesting patterning.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
There's a fabric, I know, I have to bring everything back to fabric. There's a fabric that's called shot, and you do one color on the warp and another color on the weft,
Right?
and it has the same kind of effect to
Oh,
it. You
like kind of like
can tilt it
iridescent
and
sort of thing.
it has
Cool.
different colors. It's one color when you look at it, and then it flips to another color when you look at it.
Didn't
a
they do
different
that in
color.
like the 60s or 70s? I actually remember my mom having a dress where my grandmother had some
It's probably a very
jazzy
similar
fabric.
kind of stuff, yeah.
It was
I like
always
it because
cool.
it frays, and I'm into fraying in fabric. That's beautiful.
Thanks. Oh, and I also knit.
So you could knit that, not just on a shawl. You could do that in a sweater too.
You
It would be
totally
very,
could, because
very
someone said,
cool.
what if I did it for my grandson and put like an image in it? And you can. I think there's a Harry Potter, I think it's a scarf with Slytherin. And
Oh,
depending on when
fabulous.
you tilt it, the snake shows up, that snake going through the skull.
Oh, that would be amazing. Would
Yeah.
you have a teacher? Crazy. Do a sweater.
Yeah.
I was a teacher. I can drive teachers
That would
crazy.
be fun. So this is the love note, and then I did it again for a sample, and this was done with another of Skapes yarns. It looks like sheepshees with a J, but I don't pronounce it well, but it's Skapes. I'm supposed to. Kim's been teaching me. So this one's kind of fun, but the idea when you're knitting, you knit in the round, and then you leave the sleeves on waste yarn, and then you keep going. But what of course happens, because I want to keep the ombre going in the sleeves, I had to keep breaking the yarn. I was knitting 5 rows and then coming over here knitting 10 rows and then 10 rows, breaking the yarn, doing the center, 5 rows, 10 rows, 10 rows, so I could keep the colors changing with the sweater. It didn't,
Oh, right.
because normally you go and do the sleeves afterwards, so it didn't do too bad with it.
So you just mix the colors up when you're in the middle? That's 2.
Yeah,
You
so-
knit with 2 threads.
No, this is one ball.
Okay.
It just has that really slow change, and what they're doing, they're changing it with the ply. So like there's like, strands of the dark green, and then they stab 1 strand of the hot pink, and then 2 strands of the hot pink, and
Oh.
they take one out. And it's alpaca and wool. And this was less than what the ball. The ball is 1,000 meters. It's DK, because that's what this ends up being, is DK. So it's 50-50 alpaca and wool. It's scary because it's $105, but
It's a whole sweater.
that's cheaper than this was when I ended up doing all this stuff. It's because it's a giant ball and it's basically one entire sweater in it.
So that's a sweater,
So-
and then there's enough for a little.
Yeah, because there's like still 200 meters. I'd easily have enough for a mittens or a hat or something. Of course, it's all the purple because, of course, this bill sweater you have to come back and do the collar, which in some ways I would have probably maybe just started with the collar instead of having that.
Or
Pick it up and
save
do
some
it?
yarn.
Yeah, exactly, because it's kind of a bit of a contrast. But then I'm like, it's kind of fun.
So
Kinda
somebody's
ties
going to
it
make
over.
this as a Valentine sweater. They need to start it now.
Yes,
As soon as they
exactly.
finish their Christmas knitting.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The rule in my head is always Christmas knitting and New Year's Eve is basically, because usually Christmas, Boxing Day, I'm still knitting something I didn't quite finish.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve is the night I get to cast on a new selfish knitting. Like it's my, like, ooh, here I go. Because one time I cast on some shawl and I had my needles and I'd been using some really good ones, but I only didn't have the right size. So I grabbed my little interchangeable set that I bought way, way back. And the points were so dull. It was 8 o'clock on New Year's Eve. I was like this close to driving in and opening the store and getting a decent pair of needles. Because I had to keep doing these make ones and it wasn't pointy enough. I was like, it was driving me crackers. Anyways, the shape she's this one with the very, this is a read between the lines. And Michelle, I'm working on, just wrapping up, is Andrea Mowry. I do a lot of her stuff. If you can take that in.
Yeah. Ooh, this is heavier.
So this is Aran weight, and it also has the brioche in it, those little stripies. If you flip that white hand in your hand, see how the white comes forward on the one side and the blue comes forward on the other.
Right.
So it reverses.
Okay, yeah.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah,
It's
half the
probably,
pearl
I
to do
always
that,
tell
don't I?
customers, like, it's probably the most difficult thing to learn in knitting, but it's completely possible. It's a little confusing, but if you watch a few tutorials, it's pretty good.
It's beautiful.
Now, technically, this was supposed to end here, but I don't like having this much left. So I'm like, I want to use up all the yarn. I want it as big as possible, and you're just growing. So I did some striping, and I'm gonna finish it with as much brioche as I can do of the white and the blue.
Oh, right.
Because I'm just like, I don't like wasting yarn. I'm never gonna find, there's never enough in here to do anything with. So I'm like,
It's like in quilting when people say, save you scraps. And unless you just do something totally insane and do a little bit of every one of them, it's just not going to work.
Like, let me do it. So this is Kelburn Woolen's Lucky Tweed. It's a beautiful tweed. There's
This
even
is a
little
beautiful color.
pops of little pinks in here. They're like really hidden, but there's lots of different colors in it. And it's soft. I mean, once I block this, it's going to look much better all blocked out. It's kind of was fun because it's lots of samples. You're doing diagonals, you're doing garter. The brioche is a nice kick in the pants of the brain. Get the brain working.
Probably not a beginner's.
I would say if you're an adventurous beginner, I think you can totally do it.
Really?
I mean, honestly, it's just following those steps and don't get overwhelmed. It's always you get too far ahead and you're like, But if you just go like one step, like one stitch at a time, you can do all right with it.
You realize who you're talking to about
I do.
one thing at anything at a time. That's my problem, is I don't count because I wait until I've got about 400 done and then I try to count.
I know. So this is, again, another Andrea Mowry. This is,
where's Andrea Mowry?
She's out of Michigan.
Well, she could come here too.
I have emailed her.
Well, there you go. 2023.
Exactly.
For your knit
Doesn't that
retreat.
sound bizarre? I know. I literally have to get going for 2023. But yes, I have
Somebody
emailed
booked
her.
me for May of 2023 and asked if I was available, and I said, "Well, if I'm alive, you know."
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm
So
71 years
crazy.
old. That's 3 years away. 2 years.
So
3
this is
years,
Andrea Mowry's throw over. She started with a throw back, which was a cardigan. Then she made a pullover. Okay, so I totally, I changed it. This was all the color work it was supposed to be. And then I'm like, I wanted a little jazz at the bottom. And then I'm like, I love color work. I get bored knitting this stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to do the sleeves. So and it actually mathematically worked out amazing. So I took her pattern from the collar, like from the neck, and I added it into the sleeves. Technically, I did this upside down. It's supposed to be teal, green, purple, but no one's going to notice.
Oh, right.
Now that
I do
mention
now,
it.
and that's all I'll ever see.
Because I love the idea, and I've always liked, because I'm hot 90% of the time, power surges,
I
doing
used to
those
think
long
that.
gloves. And so I thought, well, this is kind of cool, because I love the idea of more color work, but it looks a little too 1980s Cosby sweaters. You know, remember Bill Cosby sweaters?
Yeah.
Oh my God, those were a lot. But I don't think we're there. I think we haven't gone cyclical enough to get back to that much color work. So yeah.
That's kind of neat. Now,
But yes.
Round?
Yeah, knitting around, collar down. That's the nice thing. I'm actually discontinuing, just FYI. I am not going to be carrying those old straight needles anymore. They're just, most patterns you can't do anything with them, and they're not long enough for a lot of things. So I'm gently switching over some of my diehard old straight needle knitters, because you can't find patterns. They come in and they're like, hey, can I get a cable hat? But I need to knit it flat. And I'm like, I went looking for like a half an hour for one of those patterns. It was like, I don't think they exist anymore. It's like, unless you've got one of those ancient old patterns books from the 1960s, it's not out there. So, yeah.
I bought a pumpkin hat, and it was knit flat and sewn together, but it was made with Fentex.
Fentex.
I know,
Oh,
but it was the Wellington Farmers Market. This lady knits, I think she said she does about 400 of them a year. That's all she does. And then goes to the Wellington Farmers Market
How
and sells
raw
them
are
for
her
Christmas.
hands?
Well, how raw is my head? I mean, what's in that?
Oh my God. Nothing good. We had a customer whose husband insisted he wanted the same Fentex slippers. Remember those old,
Yeah.
we used to call them suicide slippers, because you, on stairs and carpet, they'd slide. And so I said, I am not touching this. I am not ordering Fentex. And he insisted it had to be exactly the same. One of my employees, Christine at the time, offered to do it. She ordered the Fentex. She started knitting it, and she said it literally was slicing her hands up so badly. And I know my grandma used to like just churn those out.
Yeah.
Well, they have hands of iron or something. And so Christine finally just went, I can't do this. This is like vicious. So we had to give it back to Lady, and she was desperate for anyone, and we all just said, nope, not doing it. It was nasty stuff.
Well, she had like,
it's going to be in landfill till the next dinosaur age. Like,
well, that's, yeah, I guess I don't have to worry about buying another pumpkin hat for next Halloween. I've got them for life. But it's knit flat and then stitched
right.
at the back. So
Old school.
she's still, well, you're doing a Fentex pumpkin hat. I think that's old school.
Yes.
Just by definition.
Yeah. I remember there was someone used to sell pumpkin hats in the Milford Fair for $6 a hat. And I was like, that isn't even covering your yarn, because I know how much the yarn costs.
Maybe Fentex, I don't know. But this was 10, and I'm sure she bought it all on sale about 40 years ago. I mean, I had lots of comments, but not as many as this one would get.
This knit collage. We are now one of the few stores in Canada that have knit collage in the store. I was so excited. Look at that sparkle, right? You can open it up if you want. So I got one of her, what does she call these guys? Like a little yarn sampler kit. And I'm like, I know, right? So this sampler kit made this hat. And then I just threw on the pom-pom. Pom-poms are, I get them from a couple in Calgary, Alberta. They're out west somewhere. And they're faux ones. They're really nice. They have a little button and a string to tie them on. It's not cheap, this stuff, because it is all hand spun.
Wow.
Is it Amy? I forget, Shannon and Amy? I've talked to them a few times, of course, via email. The Knit Collage ladies go to India, and they get them hand spun. And they get them all hand spun, and they add in little bits of lace, little bits of like little daisies, little bits of fabric, and it is cotton fabric in here. So they add in all these funny little bits to make this collage of crazy fun yarns. But it's a lot of handwork, because they literally are combing this
I love the colors in that.
to make it spin into these interesting things and little bits of threads and stuff and the daisies. So so we do have it. It's on the website and stuff. Like this is daisy chain. I think that one's cast away, but it's not easy to get. It's not easy to get, that's for sure. But I was pretty excited that we got it. I think there's one other place in Alberta that might carry the yarn. I know, and the colors. Kelly got into making tons of sweaters, so we have lots of samples upstairs. Then they do knit alongs. They're doing the kaleidoscope cardigan knit along and stuff, but
So how many would take one of those to make a hat?
Yeah, it was one of these. Okay, this is $88 Canadian. I mean, it's not cheap, because it is 100% merino wool and all hand spun.
It is merino. I was going to ask what kind of sheep.
Because a couple of ladies came in for the granddaughters, and this lady wanted to make one for her granddaughter, and it was like, she was like, oh God, that's expensive, but she's like, oh, it's my grandbaby. There. How's that look? Ta-da.
You need a little more yellow in it.
Should I turn it? Maybe there's more yellow on a different side.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
It's
And I
nicer
actually
than my
just made up
pumpkin
the
hat.
I just made up the pattern. It was just, 2 inches to 3 inches of ribbing, and then I just, and the trick with hats is always go 7.5 inches and then start your decrease. Or if you want a bit of a slouch, you go 8.5 extra inch, and then start decreasing every other row. Hats are nice. I've done some millions of hats. Look, there's even a little slip.
I know, but they're just the cutest things.
They're fun.
And they,
Yeah.
and there's cloth in it.
Yes, yeah, the fabric. There's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit of that in there too. It's probably not gonna. The wind might go through it, but you're gonna look very stylish.
Oh, you have so much heat captured in it.
Well, it's
Notice
true.
the wind.
It's like I'm actually like cold weather because I'm hot 90% of the time. All right, what else do we have to talk about? So Felicia, I was telling you about Felicia. Knots by Felicia. That's her website. She does macrame. She's
Oh,
local.
yeah.
Yeah, so she borrowed my square because she you're talking about needing a square. Her husband was at one show and she was at another show. I don't know how she does it because she has young kids too. And it was a weekend, so
She's undoubtedly way younger than I am.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So we're gonna get Felicia to come and show us her lovely macrame stuff.
cool.
So she's got some cool things, and she does these. I bought a couple for my kids who probably aren't gonna watch this. Let's hope. But I got Christmas present, and she puts crystals into them. Like so, one is like this wall hanging that's got this big piece of beautiful crystal in it. So yeah, she does some cool stuff, and the cotton she uses is amazing. It's like recycled and it's almost got this tweediness to it, like little bits of other colors in it. It's really, of course, I was immediately picking apart the thread and what it was. I'm like, you could knit a sweater out of
Does she do custom stuff?
She does, I think so, yeah.
Because I have a granddaughter who's into crystals. She got
Oh.
into crystals, addicted to them, when she used to come and visit me
The
at
Galloping
the Galloping
Goat.
Goat. Yeah. So I should
Yeah.
find out what
her
she has a
favorite
whole
crystal
collection
is.
of them that
Does she?
and then
Yeah.
have them put in a.
That's so funny, yeah. Jay is still into it. My oldest is still into crystals and stuff.
Well, I told you, I got one of the little cages and I wore amethyst, which is supposed to help me find love. And there was another one that was supposed to make me calm. And one was supposed to make me find love and one was to make me calm. Well,
Rose quartz is usually the find love one.
maybe it was that. Yeah, rose
The
quartz.
pink one. Whoops.
Rose quartz,
Amethyst
yes.
is the purple. Purple is always like the creative one, I think. I think amethyst is like the creativity.
Well, whatever one I had to make me calm didn't work, but I did find love. So
It
that's
takes
my
the edge
point.
off. It's hematite. I always have my hematite. Oh, I don't have it on today. Keeps supposed to keep me grounded in earth
Yeah,
phase. So I
right,
had
yeah.
I had a hematite anklet because it's like, okay, that'll hold me down to the earth a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a full chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A ball and chain of
Yeah, yeah.
hematite. So you want to show our socks? Yay, socks.
Yeah. Do I have holes in mine? I
I
often
don't think
do.
so.
Oh,
I
good.
recognize that yarn. I know what that yarn is. That is Patton's Croy sock
Well,
yarn.
they're the-
I recognize
it's
the guy who
the-
bought that color. A few
It's the
times
most
from the
boring
store.
pair that I own, but they match. You know,
Yes.
and I'm on TV kind
Well,
of.
I didn't even really think about it.
Ooh, yours
These
do
are my
too.
favorite, and they do match.
Yeah.
And these
oh my
pants
goodness.
have a tendency to be a little on the short side, but it's like when you have jazzy socks, who cares, right?
Well, who cares anyway?
And this is Yarn Therapist. She hand dyes self-striping yarn. The thought of,
Oh my
that would be
goodness.
such a headache. Yeah, she loves it. She actually even hand dyes yokes for sweaters. So as it gets bigger, she knows how many yards she needs in that color. It's like
Wow.
mind bending. Anyway, so yeah, we're close to our end of our 30 minutes. We're trying to keep this in our 30-minute window.
Okay,
Just so,
except Tim will edit out all the rude words we've said.
Yes, we've been good.
I don't think we said too many.
We haven't cursed too many times, have we?
No.
Good,
no,
good.
no.
Cool. Well, this is fun. So definitely we're going to do this again. Do you have you got anything coming up that you're,
Well, I have quilts and shows.
Yeah.
But they're not close by. One is right now in Auburn, New York.
right?
It's very cool because it's quilts equal art equal quilts, which is
Oh,
an art show for quilts. And I have entered it for 3 years in a row and never got in. And this year I did. And it's the who's who of the quilting world. We're in it. I know, but I can't go.
yeah.
Um,
Well, you did a show with your husband.
yes.
that was fantastic. So Bill and Larry's a photographer, beautiful, like, what do you say, landscapes and stuff?
Yeah,
Like,
it's mostly, he calls it street photography.
yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful stuff. I still have one image in my head that I just can't, of his, that I can't get out. So what they did, they actually, because someone curated it sort of,
Sue Holland.
she took Bill's quilts and Larry's photographs and kind of made a marriage between them on the wall, and they were just, it was stunning in the Parrot Gallery in Belleville. That was the coolest thing. It was really neat.
Cool.
It was
I'm
really
looking
different.
at doing one next year maybe, or whenever. I haven't applied yet, but
Right.
with just my stuff and just have it focused on 2021 because it's been such a strange year for me.
Yes.
Yes. Which we'll talk about another day. Yeah, no, it's been, so I'm thinking about doing that one.
It's been eventful for a lot, but more so for you.
Yeah.
A little life-changing.
Quilt's going to Rocky Mountain Quilt Museum in Golden, Colorado.
When they go to a museum, do they keep them forever? Or is
No,
it just
I
a
wish.
show? Okay.
Because then they pay money.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, we'll pay to ship it home. The one I have in the US right now is for sale, but
Yeah.
I haven't heard that it's sold.
Right.
Yeah, and we have a show coming up for the Modern Quilt Guild at the Parrot Gallery. I think it starts in January. So,
Oh, okay.
but yeah,
Cool.
so
Yeah,
keep
I've
busy.
got, it is, what have I got coming up? We're doing a Black Friday sale. It is on the Friday, November 26th. I feel funny about it because I feel like it's like an American thing, but I'm going to try it.
does it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly come over the border. It's here. So, I mean, I'm putting stuff on sale. Basically, the entire store is going to be on sale. So, yeah, if you're coming, be prepared. I probably won't be able to find you a pattern. I won't be able to wind yarn into balls when the ball winds. Like, it's just going to be Deanne and I are going to be here. Vera's on backup. And we're just going to have two little cash spots and we're just going to price it and push it through.
Cool.
Zip, zip, zip. Yeah, masks, mandatory, of course. But yeah, so what else is it? November, December. Got a couple felting things. We're gonna do little felted, those cute little gnome. I'm doing that class, and we're doing some chickadees, which sold out. But yeah, people are really liking the felting stuff.
Good.
So
Good.
and I'm hoping personally for myself to actually felt wall hangings and things. I want to get more into that. I've got ideas percolating in my brain. Waking up at 5 a.m. and you're just going, oh. Do that felt.
Yeah.
Felting's fun. It's nice because it's a physical craft. I actually have to kind of work out a little bit.
Yeah, quilting's not.
No, it's not too many crafts are. You usually just sit and go.
I'm in a magazine.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, the next edition of Umbrella, which is going to come out in early December, which means everybody in my family is getting a copy of the free magazine for Christmas. I'm done shopping.
Perfect.
No, it's what made me think of it. It said the focus of the magazine is on craft. So they found a bunch of artists who are doing craft as art.
Oh, cool.
And so I get 2 pages.
Oh,
and
that's
it's
going to
a
be
glossy
awesome then.
magazine. It's very cool.
It is a nice little magazine. It's kind of cool.
And if you're
Good stories.
in my family, just act surprised when you open your present, because that's all you're getting. I spent the rest.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get this out there into the world.
When people
and
watch it, then we
yes,
can.
yeah. Social media is a million.
I'll put it
amazing
on my
things.
blog and on
There you go.
my
Perfect.
social media too.
Yes. All right. Cool.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. That was fun.
All
I feel
right.
like I need to shake your hand. I'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool.
You have no choice.
Well, this is true.
Exactly.
At least it's nice to talk without a mask on.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you going to turn off the camera, Tim, or are we just going to keep blabbering on and you're going to get B-roll?
I was kind of thinking that, the talking would almost fade out into like a little piano or something, and as maybe some text comes up, but you stay on, as music kind of comes in.